This isn't something I plan to share. Honestly, it's the kind of thing I figured I'd keep to myself. Private, quiet, tucked inside my wallet like a soft memory you glance at when no one's looking. But something told me maybe it's time. So here it is. Her photo is now in my passport. Ask me why. It wasn't a grand gesture. There were no candles, no dramatic music, no rehearsed speech. It happened on an ordinary morning when I was packing for a trip. She wasn't coming on, and I stared at my passport, not thinking about security lines or destinations, but about her. The way she says, "Be safe," even when I'm just going across the street. The way her eyes soften right before I leave, like she's memorizing me, just in case. And I realize something: no matter where I go, no matter how far the flight, how unfamiliar the city, how busy the schedule, she's the one constant in my mind. So I took one of her photos, not a perfect one, not the kind you post online. It was the one she didn't know I took, the one where she was laughing over something small, hair a little messy, eyes full of life. I slid it into the passport sleeve, right beside my ID. Not for anyone else to see, just for me. A reminder that even when I'm moving, rushing through airports, stuck in hotel rooms, meeting faces I'll forget 5 minutes later, I'm still grounded. Because of her, she's not just someone I love, she's the reason I come back. Every time some people carry lucky coins, some wear necklaces or bracelets with meaning. Me, I carry her. Her voice in my ear when I'm nervous. Her photo tucked away like a secret I don't need to explain, but one I'll always feel. So if you're wondering why that picture's in there, why I chose that space of all places, it's simple. Because my passport takes me to places. But she takes me home. Every single time, the day I put her photo in my passport wasn't about romance. It wasn't about some deep poetic moment where the world paused and I suddenly understood everything. It was because I knew I'd miss her. Again, another trip, another city, another hotel bed that doesn't feel like rest. And I needed something real. Something that felt like her, even when she wasn't next to me. Because travel isn't always exciting. Most people don't talk about the quiet moments, the lonely meals, the long flights, the way airports feel like floating, disconnected, not here, not there. How even the nicest hotel room can feel cold when the person who makes you feel like you isn't there to share it. So yeah, I slid her photo into that spot. Not because I'm fragile, but because I'm grounded. She does that. I used to be the kind of person who never stayed still, always moving, running towards something or away from something. I thought success meant motion and love could wait. But then she came into my life, not as a rescue, not to stop me, but to remind me what it means to belong. And now I don't run from the stillness, because I know who's waiting for me on the other side of the noise. That photo, it's more than a picture. It's a promise. It says, no matter where you go, you're not alone. And you know the wildest part? I almost didn't bring it. I thought it would be weird, too sentimental, too much. But then I remembered all the things she's done for me that didn't make sense to anyone else and made perfect sense to me. Like the notes she leaves inside my jacket pocket, or the way she checks the weather in cities I visit, just to remind me to pack a scarf, or the way she always says, "Come back safe." Not soon, not quick, but safe, because she's never tried to cage me. She just wants to know that wherever I'm going, I'm taking her love with me. So now, every time I open that passport, before a gate, before a stamp, before another new place, I see her, and it softens everything. The stress, the distance, the ache of being apart. Because love isn't just about presence, it's about memory, about meaning. And that photo, it means more than I'll ever be able to explain in words. It's my favorite view, right beside my face, inside a book full of destinations. Because no matter how far I fly, I never leave without her. It's funny how something so small, just a photo, just a slip of paper, can hold more emotion than 1,000 conversations. It's not framed, it's not fancy. The edges are a little worn now, curled just slightly from the heat of my hand, and the way I've pulled it out, more times than I planned to. But that's the thing about love like this. It doesn't ask to be perfect. It just wants to be kept close. And that photo, that's my reminder. There are days when I'm somewhere foreign, surrounded by unfamiliar voices, walking down streets where I don't know the signs, trying to look like I belong. And then I open that passport, even just for a second. And there she is, her smile, her stillness. That softness she wears without trying. The kind that makes you breathe slower just looking at her. And it steadies me, brings me back. Because when the world spins fast, when deadlines pile up, when rooms blur together, when faces start to feel like noise, she is quiet. But not in a way that disappears. In a way that grounds. I remember one night, late flight, delayed again. Everyone was angry, pacing. My phone was dying. My head was pounding. And I was running on too little sleep and too much pressure. And I sat there in some corner of the terminal, surrounded by people but feeling completely invisible. So I pulled out the passport, not even for boarding, just instinct. Flipped it open, saw her, and I swear, in that moment, everything softened. It wasn't magic. It didn't fix my flight. It didn't give me sleep. But it reminded me, I have something to go back to. And that changes everything. Because the world makes you believe that success is in the next stop, the next country, the next win. But sometimes the greatest peace is in what you carry with you, and what I carry is her. Not just in that picture, but in every part of me, in the way I speak softer now, in the way I remember to pause, in the way I look for light, even when the sky is full of gray, because she became my reason. Not to stop, but to move with purpose. So, if someone ever asks why her photo is in there, in the place where visas and stamps go, where countries open their gates and ask who I am, I'll tell them. Because that photo reminds me who I belong to. There was one trip I'll never forget, not because of where I went, not because of who I met, but because it was the first time I almost left the photo behind. It had fallen out while I was unpacking, landed quietly on the hotel floor, face down, wedged between my bag and the wall. I didn't notice for 2 days, and those 2 days, something felt off. I couldn't put my finger on it. I was doing all the same things, working, smiling, shaking hands, giving answers. But it all felt hollow, like I was going through the motions. But I wasn't really there. Then on the third morning, while packing again, I saw it, her photo, right there on the floor, slightly bent, quietly waiting. And when I picked it up, everything clicked. I realized just how much she anchored me, how much I had built my days around this silent little ritual. Open the passport, glance at her, breathe. It wasn't about being dependent. It was about connection. You see, when you're constantly on the move, meeting people who only know your title, talking to rooms full of faces you'll never see again, you start to feel like a story that doesn't belong anywhere. But she's the chapter that makes everything else make sense. Her love doesn't follow me around with noise or need. It lives inside me, quietly, steadily. So I put the photo back in that passport, slid it into the little sleeve, like it belonged there all along. And I whispered, not again, because I don't want to live another day forgetting the one person who reminds me who I am when everything else feels like performance. That's the thing about love like hers. You don't have to be reminded of it loudly, it shows up in the silence, in how I sit a little straighter when I think of her, in how I say no to things I would have once said yes to, just to protect the peace she gave me. And maybe people think it's silly. Maybe if someone found that photo, they'd laugh. Ask why I'd carry a picture like that instead of just swiping through my phone. But it's not the same. My phone runs out of battery. It drops, it breaks, it gets replaced. But that photo, that's deliberate. It doesn't move unless I move it. It doesn't speak. But it says everything. And it lives in the same book that carries my identity. My name, my origins, the places I've been, and the places I'm allowed to go. And right beside all that is her. Because it doesn't matter how many countries I enter, how many miles I cross, how many cities I land in, there's only one place that feels like arrival. So if you ever wonder why that photo stays there, pressed against the page where the world asks who I am, it's because I want the answer to always include her. I think people expect big answers when they hear something like that. Like there must be a dramatic love story behind it. Maybe I saved her from something. Maybe she flew halfway across the world for me. Maybe we had some fairy tale airport reunion with running hugs and rain in the background. But no, that photo didn't come from a movie moment. It came from something real, something soft, something quiet. It came from mornings where we didn't say much, just drank tea with tired eyes. From nights where we laid in silence and just listened to each other breathe. From the way she'd say, text me when you land, not like a routine, but like a prayer. And that's what made me slip her picture into my passport. Not because she begged me to remember her, but because she made it impossible not to. You ever meet someone who doesn't just love you, but settles you? That's her. The world moves fast, too fast. People chase everything, money, fame, attention, approval. And somewhere in all that noise, she taught me to slow down, to breathe, to notice what actually matters. And she never needed to say it out loud. She just was it. So that photo, it's not for her. It's for me. It's for the moments I start to forget. Forget why I'm doing what I'm doing. Forget what real peace feels like. Forget that love doesn't need to be loud to be powerful. And there's one more reason, one I haven't said yet. When I look at that photo, especially in airports or lonely cities, I remember this one truth. I don't want to keep building a life she's not part of. I don't want to come back from trips and give her souvenirs, but not stories. I don't want to tell her how my day went. I want her to be in the day with me, because the more I see of the world, the more I realize how little I care for it without her near. She changed how I travel. She changed how I come home. So yes, I'm that guy now. The one with a wrinkled photo in his passport. The one who smiles when security asks, "Is that your wife?" even though we haven't said those words yet. The one who opens that page, sees her face, and suddenly feels less tired. Because love like that, it doesn't stay in the past. It moves with you. It goes through customs. It waits in terminals. It flies, even when she's not on the plane. And one day, maybe soon, I won't just carry her photo on trips. I'll carry her, not in my passport, but right beside me. Because I've seen enough of the world to know she's still my favorite place